Hello, dear friends. Those of us who are awake are creating a new language adapted to change, just as those who are asleep are creating another dystopian new language full of euphemism to hide the truth. Opinion piece. NewSpeak. The awakened language. Final wake-up call. We are in the last days. To awaken is to be enlightened. They want followers, not thinkers. The humankind potential is very powerful. They don't want people to question anything. In search of the exact name of things. The day will come when all be announced. Patience and steadfastness will be rewarded. Most people don't see anything happening. That dissimulation is necessary for it to succeed. Apparent chaos is adaptation to change. Euphemism is institutionalized hypocrisy. Abuse of euphemisms to hide bad news. There can be no wisdom without freedom of expression. Starlink will be the link to the new quantum system. Transition will proceed as smoothly as possible. Let's start. The language of an awakened consciousness is not understood by sleeping minds living under collective hypnosis. There are no themes or arguments that can wed together to awaken someone. This language is understandable only by awakened souls to each other, according to Peter B. Meyer. A language is a system of verbal communication proper to a humankind community, and which generally has a script. According to Jorge Luis Borges, the exact time is the exact concept. Whoever controls the wet controls the concept. Who controls the concept controls the thought. An euphemism is a soft or decorous manifestation of ideas whose straight and frank expression would be harsh or rude. The problem is that euphemisms are abused to hide the truth. Euphemism has become institutionalized hypocrisy. Water is pouring down on us, and then they say it rains. Dystopia. On the negative side, the new language of politicians is characterized by the abuse of euphemisms that has attempted to disguise cuts and bad economic news. Expressions such as new normal or reconstruction of Spain seem coined before George Orwell's new language. In his Dystopia, Orwell imagined a society where information was distorted, homes were surveilled, and there was a strong repression. Negative new language, or NewSpeak, is a fictional language invented by British author George Orwell in his dystopian novel 1984. New language is nothing more than a simplified version of the language to avoid confusion and for propaganda purposes, and is one of the basic pillars of any totalitarian regime. The objective is to replace the old language or old speak, and to make other contrary forms or thought unviable, in order to prevent the population from desiring or thinking about freedom. This is done by removing unwanted meanings from each word, so that the very concept of political or intellectual freedom ceases to exist in the minds of the speakers. A Time columnist charges that freedom of speech is a supposed obsession of the white man. As Benjamin Franklin said in a letter dated on July 9, 1722, in quotes, "Without freedom of thought, there can be no wisdom, and there is no such thing as public liberty without freedom of speech." Humankind's potential. Humankind has surrendered its mind and responsibility to governments on a grand scale, realize the far-reaching consequences of this behavior for humankind's existence. If mind and responsibility are surrendered, our freedom and our life also disappear. The clique hates humankind because they fear them, for they know the true human potential, and that is why they do everything in their power to destroy us. They want followers, not independent thinkers. They do not want people to question anything, whereas we should question everything. To awaken means to be enlightened. Let the light not only enter your room, but penetrate every cell of your body. The process is much broader than you can imagine. It is so profound that it will actually change the consciousness of every awakened person. In fact, much has already changed, and it is the change that worries the unawakened. Patience and steadfastness in the light will be very well rewarded with wonderful changes welcome on the near and distant horizon. All beings of light in this universe encourage and support you with the incomparable power of unconditional love. Metamorphosis. Vital Frosty gives his opinion on these developments. At the end of the great cycle of reconciliation and testing in a world of duality, humankind will finally enter a new era where abundance and prosperity will truly be available to all, without discrimination. As the year of the soul fractal was always intended to experience polarities, it is natural that each lifetime required a great deal of new learning of different lessons. This was the main line that guided the life path of each person and in each incarnation. Sometimes in one polarity, sometimes in another, like a roller coaster. We have all been rich in one existence and miserable in another. The divine blueprint for planet Earth continues along the path it has traveled, whether or not its inhabitants are ready for the new era ahead. Once the frequency of the planet rises to the 5D and higher dimensions, anything vibrating below can no longer exist here. Just as a radio station can only be tuned to the correct frequency, souls can only be accepted on this planet if they are on the same tuning of frequency required. There is no other possibility. Prosperity. Although the planet is not yet fully in the new age, for this process takes about 3 centuries, we know that we are in the last day of the old one, and also in the most important events of this transition. All the systems known to humankind are beginning to crumble, and also those that were hidden. New systems are already beginning to function, and little by little the change will be total, for there is no comparison that can be made. The important thing for now is that you trust and know that all is for the best. The long-awaited time has finally arrived. This is the last incarnation of duality. Therefore, those without the minimum frequency for the new 5D Earth will live, because they can no longer reincarnate here. You must not waste this last opportunity. With the change of Earth's lifetime, the transition will leave behind the heaviest events classified as Armageddon, and the transition will proceed as smoothly as possible. That is why most of humankind doesn't even realize what is really happening. Incredible changes. The wider consciousness is already observing the current movement and the incredible changes. No matter how many make the movement, along with the changes are happening. Resistance to going with the flow of change will only bring harm to those who resist. Nothing will stop the path of humankind that decides to ascend along with Gaia. This is the Creator's decision. The transformation of old systems and the creation of new systems suitable for the 5D Earth already started around 2016 and will be completed within a few years. It will take no longer than to 2030, but I dare to say it will be completed earlier, perhaps as early as 2025 or 2026. But the time doesn't matter, because what matters is that everything is now moving towards its climax. Nothing and no one can stop what is coming, and the apparent chaos that seems real is actually the necessary rearrangement and adaptation to the changes that are taking place. Among these changes, there is one that is of great interest to most living beings, the financial system. Until now, experiences have been mainly related to abundance and scarcity, and this has left deep traumas in every humankind's consciousness. Fear and the lack of memories that have not yet healed, but it will all end now, because it is the transitional moment. The old financial system was prepared to experience the polarities between abundance and scarcity, but those who have learned will now live the golden age. New system. The quantum financial system is already in place. It is slowly replacing the old economic system. That is why most people who expect a big impact in this sector do not see anything happening. The day will come when it will be announced, when nothing will go back to the way it was. But that is no reason to worry, because the quantum system knows everything about every humankind, about every human being, It was recorded everything since 1950. It has recorded every financial transaction, every legal and illegal business, every individual's income and its origin, even every thought of every individual. And this will determine what actually belongs or doesn't belong to each humankind. In the final exchange of the financial system, no one will keep what does not rightfully belong to him, and all those who have been exploited will receive what is rightfully theirs. The Earth has a feminine consciousness, and that is why she is called Mother Earth. And because of that nature, no child of Gaia will be allowed to suffer the lack of worthy means of survival. You must understand that the mother doesn't offer her child something that will harm it. The moment she receives a tool, an opportunity, a freedom of anything else, the mother knows it, so she will no risk giving something that could harm one of her children. Distribution. Abundance is already available to those who are willing to make good use of it. It will be a gradual distribution according to priorities and at the right time for each one. Those who do not yet know how to use a tool should not have access to it, because they run the risk of injuring themselves. The frequency that is favorable for receiving abundance will be a function of one's responsibility, on the intention of how each being will use those resources and for what purposes those resources will be used. Remember also that competition, desire for power, excessive vanity, pride and addictions are 3D vibrations and not the frequency to align with abundance. Cooperation, however, will be an important key that will set the new system in motion. Prosperity will be a frequency that will be in tune with abundance and will bring to fruition all the initiatives of those who are already vibrating in a higher consciousness. Therefore, in the near future, all humankind will be aligned and living in abundance and prosperity. For now, we already know that many things are happening. The new system is slowly replacing the old economic system. Abundance. As this event will not be instantaneous but gradual, I suggest to each of you to take a deep look at yourself. See if you are truly worthy of infinite abundance. What would you do with the unlimited resources that will be offered to you at the end? Your consciousness must be pure and free of any selfish interests, free of individual ambitions. Unconditional love, plans involving cooperation, collectivity, care for nature, animals, land and water, true solidarity without personal interests, help for humanitarian projects, leadership, healing and enlightenment work, activities aimed at restoring the environment, etc. In short, all thoughts that concern the collective as a whole, without preferences or distinctions. All this will count in your favor, so that you will be among the priorities to receive the abundance you deserve. In due time, all the writers will receive their due. Don't ask me, do I deserve it or not? Ask your conscience. Only your conscience can answer. Christ left a clue when he said, "Help yourself and I will help you." So it's all up to you. And I am Viral Frosty and my mission is enlightenment. Short news or breaking news. First, Fed raises interest rates by half a point, the largest increase in more than 20 years. Second, the ruble jumps to a more than 2-year high against the dollar and euro as the European Union increases sanctions, according to Reuters. Third, oil rises $5 a barrel as the European Union moves closer to a total ban on Russian oil. Fourth, the Spanish stock market rises 1.83%, its biggest gain in more than a month. 5. BlackRock strengthens its bet on Repsol and raises its stake to 5.47%. 6. India raises interest rate to 4.4% in the face of inflationary pressure. 7. Texas threatens to declare a illegal migration invasion. Texas Republican Governor Greg Abbott is considering invoking war powers to administer the southern border by officially declaring an invasion, which would comply with a clause in the Constitution. 8. Noam Chomsky praises Trump. Democrats were shocked after Donald Trump received praise from Noam Chomsky for being one of the few leading Westerners who advocates peace rather than escalating conflict. 9. Humor. A parrot mocks all those who knock on his door by shouting, "I'm coming!" Rumors of war. First, China prepares its armed forces to have the capability to take Taiwan, says US Chief of Staff. Second, officials reveal direct meddling in the war. A 3-letter agency provides real-time intelligence monitoring. Third, according to the Times, corruption in Ukraine leaves reserve military forces without weapons and combat supplies. 4. Boris Johnson threatens to use nuclear weapons against Russia without NATO consent. 5. Putin to undergo cancer surgery and transfer power. Russian President Vladimir Putin will undergo cancer surgery and temporarily hand over power to a former hardline federal police chief. Putin will transfer control of Russia's government to Nikolai Patrushev, head of the Security Council of the Russian Federal Police, while he is incapacitated during and after the procedure. Reflections. Poet Talk. It is an endless costume ball, a wonderland of camouflage. Hiding sharp teeth and terrible claws. Walk in the light and you will not fear the night. Second, X-22 report. You are witnessing the systematic destruction of the old God. The Great Reset has failed and the banks are panicking because they never expected to pay for oil using other currencies. Third, silent weapons for quiet wars. An economic research project details the plan for population control by manipulating society through the education system, economics and politics, according to InfoWars. Fourth, May 2022 Energy Update by Saratoga Ocean. This decade from 2020 to 2030 will likely mark the end of civilization as we know it. The question is, what will the change and the end result look like? And what can we do to achieve a positive outcome? The energy of May 2022 and beyond is calling us to go to a new level of consciousness and awakening. 5. Halley's Comet Meteors. Earth is entering a stream of debris from Halley's Comet, the source of the annual Aquarid meteor shower. Meteorologists expect the shower to peak on May 5 and 6. Rates could be as high as 30 meteors per hour in the southern hemisphere, but only half that in the northern hemisphere. The best time to watch is just before local sunrise, when the constellation Aquarius is high in the sky. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.